Bro, I'm telling you, the sketches was gonna blow us all up. I'm trying to tell you.
Listen,
trying to tell you.
I already knew you were different.
The sketches was gonna take it there.
I knew you were different when you were doing both. When you started doing, I'm like, yeah, he knows that he wants us to be bigger, and he's trying to.
Back?
I
can put the mic closer if you want.
I'm cool like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually shooting 2 new skits on Monday.
Dope.
Oh yeah, I called you earlier about the change and the gifted shit. He said he doesn't have a why not start joint. So I might have just sit and do some thinking probably today and tomorrow, and then I might even come with a whole different idea. I don't know.
Y'all gonna go to the thing that Capri's doing
Tonight?
No, next Saturday with Wendy Day.
What's that?
She's bringing Wendy Day, who's like a legend, to Virginia next week for her networking, like artist creative thing. Wendy Day is a person who put together the deal for Cash Money in Universal and No Limit in Universal. Like, got them the money. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So she's bringing Wendy Day here, like to talk to artists, give them tips and advice and all that stuff. So it's gonna be dope.
Where's that?
I just called 103 Jams and Hot 91 to get Capri interviews for it. Like on the way here, like that's how I move.
We had DJ DC up here for 103 Jams.
I just talked to DC. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if I told this pod this story on the pod, but I had called 103 Jams one day because DJ DC was on the shit talking about call up and I forgot what happened. I think they're giving away tickets or something. But he was like, call up and say where you calling from, whatever. So I called up, but I didn't expect them to answer, so I was just like, whatever. And then he just threw me all the way off. He was like, yo, it's 103 Jams. Like, where you calling from? Mm-hmm. I was just so stuck in I was just caught. I couldn't even remember where I lived. I'm like, Newport News, same shit. He like, what station you listening to? I'm like, fuck, I forgot it was 103 Jams. I'm like, 102.9. He like, bro, 103 Jams. I'm like, all right.
I'll tell you this. One of the first lessons I learned was start just understanding that those kind of opportunities are going to happen. I mean, calling the radio is one thing, but I'm just saying you're going to start being in a position of where, and might already be happening, where people are going to want you to do drops, people are going to want you to be on their platforms, and just bigger stuff coming your way. And so make sure that you're ready to be on camera on other people's things to promote your platform, for people to recognize and feel like you one of the pillars of our community. Because I already feel like when I look at you and I look at some other people, like I'm like, they're the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so whenever I see the same thing that I saw in myself 20 years ago, I'm like, nah, I need to support this now. Because I remember what it felt like when I was trying to make a name for myself, and I still had to prove myself. And I wish people would have gravitated to how hard I was working earlier. Because I ended up proving basically everybody wrong. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about it, but I've done a bunch of amazing shit that the new generation may not even know, but I've been waving the flag for Virginia for a long time. So some of the biggest artists in the world, and we'll talk about it, feel good about Virginia through the work that I did for them, whether it be record labels, which I've worked for, and major artists who I helped break in Virginia.
You touching on, like we touched on before the podcast, the kind of level of focus it takes to really just have a vision and stick to it, no matter what's going on in your life. Like ultimately, like that's the people that are going to be successful, is the ones that really put that shit before everything. And sometimes it's to the detriment. You might put it before your family, before having a girl, before whatever. Like, and you talking about you at the 20-year mark. So what's it like for you just being 20 years into this? I know darknightent kind of started as a street marketing, like street promotion. Yeah, kind of how did it kind of start for you out here?
It started basically even before Dark Knight, right? I just knew when I was like a teenager that I wanted to be in the music industry. But we in Virginia, so like how do you do that, right?
And you born and raised out here?
No. I'm a transplant, but I claim Virginia, right? I'm a military brat. So both my parents did 20 years in the military. My mom did 20 in the Navy. My dad did 20 in Marines. I
saw a video on your Instagram when you were doing the cold plunge. You're like, son, it's not gonna be worth the boot camp.
Exactly.
So you went to.
I was in the Navy too.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's like that's further along, but that's like I read books like how do I get in the music industry, and a lot of the people that I looked up to, Kevin Liles, who worked for Def Jam, was the president, all that kind of stuff. In his book, I did street team. So I'm like, okay, if I start doing street team stuff, then I'll learn who's who, what's what, how to do marketing, how to do street promotion, and I'll figure out what I'm trying to do. Because I didn't know. I just knew I wanted to be in music. Like, it was one of those things where I know Kanye's going to be hot, right? Before he was. Or I knew Soulja Boy. Like, these kind of... Like, I knew people were going to be popping when they first were trying to make a name for themselves. And I always had the instinct that I would put my friends on. And there's only so long you can do that. And then you're right without being like, well, I got to do something with this. So it just became, okay, well, I need to get in the music industry. How the fuck do I do that in Virginia? Okay, I'm going to get on a street team and I'll pay my dues. I'll do it for free until it makes sense. And eventually I'll figure out how to do it, because regardless of whatever, I had the work ethic to do the work to, make a name for myself, and then the opportunities will open. And it pretty much happened like that. It took longer because if you can imagine, if you're in New York and you intern for a street team or whatever for 6 months, they'll find a job for you at somebody's label, somebody's something. But in Virginia, it's like you can put in all the hard work you want, but
it's like it's a ceiling. Like you can't.
It's a ceiling because anybody who could make that call and be like, Batman's been working hard, I'm gonna put him in, this label as an A&R or whatever. They can't see me all the way in Virginia, so I had to do all that work, which made a name for me here, and then start traveling on my own so other people from other places knew who I was.
So your street team promotion started in New York?
No. My street team day started here is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, I was with the Def Jam and Atlantic Street team. It was the same person that had both, they call them accounts, right? For both of them. So as the New York people would come down with big artists, I'm meeting whatever executive from Atlantic or whatever executive or promotions coordinator from Def Jam.
They're pushing their artists, whoever they're
pushing their
down,
artists, and just making sure when they see me, I'm putting up the posters, I'm handing out the flyers, I'm doing the work to make a name for myself.
So this is before you even had your company. You're just kind of just working for
just Def Jam and Atlantic. And there was one point in time early on where I was interning for Def Jam Records, Atlantic Records, and Hot 102.1, which don't even exist no more, but it was a big radio station out here at the same time. So I was just hungry. So there is nothing about me where if you dope and you talented as an artist, that's going to be enough for me. Like, we all got to pay dues at a certain extent. Whether we feel like it's okay or important or not, we have to do that so we learn that side of the business, so we understand the people who can write checks or give us opportunities. We can do what they think would be expected of us to make a name for ourselves and for them to feel like they should be giving us an opportunity. Yeah. And it's okay to work hard and, go for what it is. But you got to know that your talent alone ain't going to get you there.
Yeah. I had to learn that early. Like, honestly, like, most people don't work hard. When you really think about it, like, and I'm talking about in any industry, not just in music.
In any industry.
I'm an electrician too. Mm-hmm. So I've been on job sites with 30, 50 electricians. Mm-hmm. And I just see the mentality of people. Most people would just coast by.
Yes.
And that's just life. So when you even put in a little bit of effort, you usually stand out. You know what I mean?
That's really my rule of thumb. If you want to stand out, you want to be recognized, you want the attention and all of that you're craving, you're going to have to put in more work than everybody around you. If you're doing just as much as everybody else, then you're doing just as much as everybody else. What would make you stand out from? What would make somebody think that you're going to be the one if you're doing just as much as the person to the left or right? And as you know, here in Virginia, most people are talented in some way or the other. Not always in music, but everybody has some kind of talent that's just naturally above average. So if we all are like that, then you got to do something more to stand out.
And you're talking about the street promotion. This was like 20 years ago. So this is before social media, streaming services. What is what are these labels doing now? What's the equivalent? Like, where did street promotions evolve into now? Like, you know what I mean?
Playlisting, partnerships, that kind of stuff. Putting that money into micro influencers, stuff like that. Like when they do events, maybe they'll get this YouTuber or this influencer to co-sign a product or to do do an interview on somebody's podcast that has a platform. If they're a new artist, dope interviews or activations as they call them, if they're doing like a pop-up or something with a brand, let's say a weed brand or whatever, can help solidify the brand, put new eyes on them where maybe before it wasn't there. So brand partnerships is like super important to that stuff. If you get an artist, let's say for instance Tyler, and Tyler is all about mental health and all that kind of stuff, if we partner him with a mental health campaign that's already happening over here. You got to get
that BetterHelp sponsor. You know BetterHelp? I've been seeing their fucking ads on YouTube for the past like 2 months.
We're working on some stuff.
Like, I've been seeing my therapist at BetterHelp for the last 2 years. It took me a little bit to find the right one, but
that's kind of the work that artists and even just creatives have to do. so much of this is the branding portion. Like, do you understand who you are and what you bring to the world, and who would be good partners or brands to even do that? And are you willing to do the work so they can see that there is value in you partnering with me? If you only have an audience of 100 people, but you really want to do this thing with a bigger brand and you know what'll help you, then cool. It's not to get discouraged. It's okay. Well, I need to grow my fan base to this, and then I can approach them and pitch them like this, and then we can find an equally yoked situation, mutually beneficial situation where it works for them, it works for me. They get my eyeballs and my fans and my network, and I get their resources and vice versa, and it works for everybody.
All right, so you're saying you're coming up, kind of wanted to be in this industry. You felt like you had a sense of what was working type. So you're doing the street promotions.
Yep.
What was from there?
So the good thing about street promotion is you're so on the bottom rung of the ladder that you don't have anything but the opportunity to learn. So there's nothing expected of you, right? As a street team person, you can have basically 30, 40 people on your street team, and a lot of people will just kind of flunk out anyway, meaning they'll do it until it doesn't make sense for them anymore, and you'll cycle them out, which means you have to constantly find new people that want to do the job because they want to get into a concert for free or whatever else. But those of us who stuck with it understood that, oh, this is really a learning experience. I learned every promoter that was worth their weight here that I needed to know. I learned and met everybody from all the radio stations, all of the best independent artists. I met some of the biggest artists and then executives that would come in town, that kind of stuff. And, I also learned to lay the land, like when we're putting out flyers and putting out posters, where are the barbershops and beauty salons where it would be high traffic areas where people would go, like, and build relationships with them. So it's kind of like business training at a certain clip too. What flyers would go in this barbershop for this event or this artist may not make sense in this one. You know what I'm saying? So like, moving ahead a little bit in the story, I'm the person responsible for breaking 2 Chainz in Virginia. I'm also the person responsible for breaking Travis Porter in Virginia. I'm also the person responsible for breaking like K. Michelle and some others. And so I'm using those examples to say Travis Porter and 2 Chainz. And Wiz Khalifa too.
Wiz? That's crazy. There's not a lot of artists. I remember the first song I ever heard by them. Wiz is one of them. Wiz and J. Cole. I definitely remember.
I take credit for that because if I don't say it, nobody else will. So controlling your narrative is super important.
Not to cut you off, just on while we on Wiz, at Something in the Water at the Diss Freak stage, excuse me, Lex Luger plays some unreleased shit he has with Wiz, and it's like that. Like Wiz need to drop that. Like I know it was old just by hearing it. It's like Wiz doesn't even rap like that anymore. I'm like, this shit is crazy.
But shout out to my guy Will, who is the president of Telegang.
Okay, white dude, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know Will. Come on.
So that's see, but this is what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's full circle, right? I go back so far with Will and Wiz, especially Will, clearly, that the first thing I promoted to help kind of, give him a fan base here was Deal or No Deal. I don't know if you go that far back with his music.
The first song I ever heard by Wiz was the Poker Face remix, Blow It By The O.
Got it. Yeah.
That might have even been before that. Something like that.
The timeline, he's got so many records.
Yeah, but I was hit by Deal or No Deal.
So it was really like I called Rostam Records, which Wiz used to be signed to, and then somehow they were like, okay, cool, like, oh, you want to help us promote Wiz? Okay, cool. Like, we'll send you CDs and flyers and whatever. Which I kept like copies of all of this just for my personal whatever. And then somehow, eventually, they connected me with Will. And then eventually, I was putting in work, and then Wiz ended up having a show in Richmond with Currency and Nick Fury.
Okay.
So when they did the show in Richmond, I went up there, and that's how I met all 3 of them at the same time.
Wait, Nick who?
Nicholas Fury from Richmond.
Is that Nicholas F?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
he's a legend out here too. I remember hearing his fucking song with Drake back in the day.
Duper. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So imagine like going to an event that you helped with one of the artists, and you meet Currency and Wiz Khalifa and Nick F all at the same time. I mean, I thought it was amazing, and again, fast forwarding, I've kept my relationship up with Telegang and again, Will, especially. That last year when they come on tour, I mean, Wiz goes on tour like once or twice a year already. So last year I did a Telegang event for Telegang artist Fed to God, and I was able to say
I remember that.
Yeah, I did that at Beach House.
You were posting about it on Instagram. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I put it together. It was a free event. I mean, it was invite only, but it was a free event. The trade off was everybody that came also got a free ticket to the concert. I didn't.
How'd you pull that off?
I didn't. Huh?
How'd you pull it? He said, huh? How'd you pull that off?
I didn't. It was nothing to pull off. Like once I had the conversation with Will, I mean, I pitched the Will like this. Again, these are things that I learned. Like when you understand what you do good and you understand what people need and what can be helpful and beneficial, it just things happen easier. So mutually beneficial situations. They're coming on tour. Fed is signed to Telegang. He's trying to get more fans. They want more fans for him to put more ears on because he's legitimately talented, right?
I'm not hip to Fed. I gotta get hip.
You have to get hip. Okay. Fed is dope. Pittsburgh art, like all of that. So I'm like, okay, cool. If Wiz is coming to town, I'm gonna call Will. But I don't want Wiz to come necessarily. I want to help the label out, right? Let's do something for Fed. Wiz don't need no more shine. The show's gonna do well on its own.
It should probably already sold out.
You feel what I'm saying? But how can I help the homie, help the label who have been really good to me? Let's do something around Fed. So the event was to put more spotlight to get records played for Fed. And so let's invite everybody. We'll frame it as a Telegang mixture event. And it was a hybrid event. At first I was gonna make it just a listening event. But then as I got into the planning, I'm like, it'd be dope. So many people do listening events. So many people do mixers. Let's combine it. So it was like part Q&A, part mixer, part listening event. It's a part networking event. So we did all of it. And so when I talked to Will, obviously McQueen, right, the liquor,
yep.
Wiz has an investment in it.
He's been tweeting a lot lately that he's done drinking.
I mean, hey, but the brand is still good. The liquor's still good. It's like the best tasting gin out.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, if we do it like this, it'll be about Fed, but it can, we can put the spotlight on McQueen as well. So everybody that comes, that was the other part. So it was all of those things happening. It'll also be a McQueen tasting. So we got them to send us cases of liquor, right? A McQueen. And so everybody that came, you just come and you don't have to pay nothing. Just come, you'll listen and meet Fed straight off the tour bus before the concert. We'll be able to do a Q&A. We'll listen to records and everybody will be able to network in the room. I ended up talking Will into being on the Q&A panel. So some of the artists and creatives here were able to ask Will, who's, again, president, co-CEO of Telegang, questions about how they started, what artists need to do to get on, to move that thing forward, the movement, all that kind of stuff. And so he was gracious enough to say yes. Again, we had the McQueen tasting. We did, we played records. I think it was successful. And again, the surprise was everybody who attended also got a free ticket to the concert. So you went to the event and then you got to go to the concert.
All I was missing was free food. Y'all had free food?
We had free food too. What you mean?
Come on.
We're going to do it right. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, it's not like he called me and was like, man, I need your help or whatever. They could have came.
You took the initiative.
It's taking the initiative. Yeah. It's understanding, like seeing a void and making sure that you fill a void, but not like, hey, Will, I want some money. Like
it's actually bringing value too.
That's the key.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people just want to take. It's like, what can you actually do to help the situation?
I'm not even going to call him if I can't bring an idea that is going to make sense for him. It's easy to ask your homie or your friend professionally for a check for whatever. But I make sure that if I'm going to do anything of that sort, I want it to be dope first, but I wanted to make sure it makes sense on everybody's side. So that way, hey, Wiz is about to go back on tour. I already looked at the tour dates. They're coming back to Virginia. Like, duh, I'm going to call Will again.
No, a lot of these big tours are coming to Virginia right now. Mm-hmm. Like 50 tours coming.
50 tours is coming, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel like for like the last year we've been saying these big artists don't really stop by here, but they are, I think, now.
Well, let me say this. Do you understand why artists come here and why we may not be on everybody's tour?
So I would say they come here because it's kind of like you got to pass through here.
No.
To get everywhere else? Why?
It's all business, right? So think of it like this. If I'm an artist, I'm only going to route my tour with every market that I know I can sell out or do good in, ticket-wise. So it doesn't make any sense for him to do the Norville or the amphitheater in Virginia if they don't feel like they're going to sell tickets for it.
So
business-wise.
They're looking at analytics, who's listening to the music where.
And track history, right? Wiz has been on enough tours that he knows all of the places where they know where they're going to do well and where they may need to work or whatever. The thing with Wiz is he's been so successful and he has such a big fan base and he toured so much that there isn't really too many places that he's not going to do well in just off of his catalog at this point, right? Same thing with 50. So when he released his tour dates, it was a bunch of them. It's a bunch of tour dates for 50's tour, but 50 does good everywhere. But you're not going to see a city or a market that he's doing where let's see what it does. They're only going to book venues where they know they're going to do well. So it's not like, so that's what I'm saying. Business wise, it's not a thing of artists don't want to come here or an artist is like Virginia. No, we're not doing that.
This might just not be their market.
It might not be their market. They may have to build up to Virginia, right? DC may be a sure thing. And if Virginia is like, I'm not sure, right? If the booking agent or whoever's putting together the tour is like, you do okay there, but it's just going to be okay. You got to think about optics. You got to think about business. Real dollars going into it. So they got to move all these trucks and, set up the show and production. Them people get paid regardless. So you want to make sure that you're going to a market that the market's going to do well so you can pay everybody but still make a profit. If you're breaking even or doing less than that, it may not make sense business-wise to do it unless you're going into it being like, okay, we're going to break even, but it'll make sense because the next time we'll make a profit. Which is what a lot of artists will do early on. Like they might take the short or they may not take as much money to build the market up. So when they do a bigger venue, like on the next album that's going to be out of the park and everybody's going to love it, they can just put it on there. But nobody's going to take chances later on in their career with a market that is not proven, if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
So it's not an artist preference thing like, I don't like Virginia, so we're skipping Virginia. It's more of a, do we do well there every time we go there? What has been the average ticket sales when we've done it or when we have? Sometimes it's a label decision. Sometimes it's whoever, if the person is independent and they have touring or booking people who look at all the analytics and metrics and all of that. Sometimes it's just the artist and they, their team. And if it makes sense, they're going to put it on. If it doesn't, then they're not going to do it.
What big artists have you seen that do the best here? Like who's always coming? Who's always going to stop by here?
Who would always do good here? For a while it was like, and this is like a little further back because I don't go to as many concerts as I used to, but like for a while, well, you know what? You know who does good everywhere basically? Fabulous. Think about the last time Fabulous had like a super duper major album that came out. That was a minute ago, but through the Soul Tapes and some of his other projects, he's been able to keep himself relevant, but he has a catalog that he's got 10, 20, 30 hits. So he can do clubs, he can do medium-sized venues and probably larger venues, and he's going to be all right basically everywhere. He's basically making appearances and getting good money. The Locks would do good here, but do good anywhere basically, especially now after, the Versus thing. So that all ties into when you see like the Grammys or the MTV Awards, the BET Awards, all that is, those performances, is a commercial for some tour that's coming up. Always. It's not an accident.
Everything is really a commercial. Everything is promotion.
Even a music video is actually a commercial for the single.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't know that, then you think, oh, man, we're so blessed. We're so whatever. No, they're doing that because after the album drops, they're going to want to go on the road and get some more money. And there's nothing wrong with it because that's part of it.
Everything's literally commercial. Okay, so you do consultations with artists.
Absolutely.
So even you literally just going to a club tonight, stepping in there and people seeing you, that's a commercial.
You mean for me and my services?
Whoever, whoever's selling anything, like wherever you go and people see you there, that's a commercial. Then we talk about recorded shows different. Also, I think MTV is shutting down. Didn't you tell me that earlier?
MTV News is shutting down.
MTV News?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's unfortunate. There is a way to save it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. They need to just be innovative, bro. Really, a lot of these companies I see that fail.
They're folding because they can't adapt.
They can't adapt and they get stuck in doing the same thing that used to work. But it's like, bro, you need to hire younger people, you need to hire new people, and you need to innovate. That's how you stand the test of time.
This will be my point, because I agree with you. My counter to that, and it's not really a counter, is there were a few people there that were younger that were probably telling them this will work and this will work and this will work, and they weren't listening to them. I guarantee it.
Well, that's part of it. You got to fucking take the.
If you got
advice.
staff and they're younger than you and they're in the demo, you need to listen to the people around you. I think, when the executive is 40, 50, whatever, and they're not tapped into what'll work and what want, and they won't want, and they have a boss too. Yeah. If they can't figure it out, or they're getting ideas from people who are younger than them or more tapped into them, and they're not listening to them, then you're susceptible to stuff like this happening. There was a way for MTV News to survive. Like,
maybe they got to definitely be on YouTube.
Because they had
on the internet.
The thing is, they had the brand. Yeah. MTV News was a solid. Let me say that was a solid brand. So half of it is a brand, and you already had the channel, and artists respected enough that it would still go if there was something worth going over there for. Then it's just, again, adapting to what will work today. And for some reason, I don't think they were making enough correct decisions to adapt to make it hip or to tap into the youth culture. And that's where you're going to lose.
We're seeing fucking Fox News go down right now. Like all of these mainstream, even news channels, which is supposedly supposed to be like the biggest fucking companies in the damn country, are going down.
I think that's
people
a little
don't
different.
care. Like people like, and then at the same time, you're seeing these new companies come, these tech companies that are literally amassing like so much more wealth than these other companies that have been around for 100 years, and they're doing it in like 5 years.
We're in a transitional period. I think Fox is different. Fox is like,
'cause I think that's the one where Tucker Carlson just left. So it's like a lot of shit going on.
Bill O'Reilly and all of that. That's yes, you have a certain fan base that watches you, but when you think about that kind of stuff, you got to think about the companies that spend money for the commercials. It's all about the commercials. So those companies that put money into having their advertisement when they go on a commercial break, if they are starting to feel cringy about what he's saying, they're going to pull out. Because if he says something outlandish and it doesn't necessarily align with, again, branding, right, of the commercial that comes after it, then the people who buy products from that brand are going to be like, oh, you support this. If you see the commercial, you're supporting it, whether you saying it or not. You could be like, no, I don't support it, but I know there's a bunch of eyeballs right there. It could be a business decision, but you spending your dollars with them is silently supporting it. So if they're getting questioned by their thing, that's all it's going to take for them to be like, you know what? We're getting a lot of calls and emails about this. We're pulling our money out. We're going to spend these ad dollars somewhere else.
I think there has to be a better business system too than just relying on advertising money. I don't know what it is.
No.
Thinking about
it already exists.
There has to be. Which one?
You we were talking earlier and you said Joe Button and we said Joe Rogan and all that kind of stuff. A lot of them are using, what do you call it, Patreon, right?
Patreon or
the subscription model, I think is.
Well, Joe Rogan is he just has a exclusive deal with Spotify.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's when you get the fan base large enough to justify that Spotify saying you have X amount of eyeballs or ears on your thing. We need those eyeballs and ears to migrate to our platform. So we'll give you X amount of money so they can move where you move. We want them here on Spotify. Please sign with us.
And also, like, a big reason Joe Rogan went over there, and the reason I really don't like the advertising system, because a lot of times it leads to censorship.
Yes.
And that's ultimately what, like, a lot of people are trying to get away from.
It's a trade-off.
You know,
it's a trade-off.
YouTube is fire. We all use it, but there's a lot of censorship on YouTube. You can't say whatever you want.
It's all about creative freedom, right? It's all about trying to figure out how can I make a living being as creative as I can be with the least amount of stipulations or caveats or, you know.
Do you think there's always stipulations? Is there always going to be something like?
Yes,
that you have to like conform to?
But it's about what you're comfortable with, right? So even with like a lot of independent artists where some of them have like direct to consumer relationship where there's no label, they're independent artists. It's just them having a conversation with their fans. The fans are still your boss. But it's like, what are you comfortable with? Are you comfortable with a label telling you what to do? Are you comfortable with the critiques you would possibly get from your fan base? Are you comfortable with this brand that is sponsoring your next tour or whatever? It's like, what are you actually comfortable with? And then you do what works best for you.
So you were talking about you're on the street promotions team, you're interning, but you touched on learning, having experience that's worth more than money.
Absolutely.
And learning stuff there. So I guess, when did Dark Knight ENT become a thing?
So Dark Knight ENT, okay. Dark Knight ENT actually really became a thing because...
And also, are you worried about getting sued for going by Batman and having Dark Knight ENT? Okay.
No, well, I'm 20 years in, so if I felt like something was going to happen, I would have changed my name. But to fully answer that question, I was always under the impression of if I get a cease and desist or something like that, then that means I've done enough that they feel like I'm a threat to whatever. And that doesn't mean a threat like I'm making enough noise, so whatever. It could be I make enough noise and I could be doing something outlandish and then they feel like they need to shut it down. Like I could clearly make enough noise and make a name for myself. And if they feel like, oh yeah, but he's not bothering us or he's not effing up our IP, then we're going to let it rock. Which I think is probably what's happening. Because like I'm Googleable at this point. It's not like I'm not doing anything. So to me, that's a good problem to have. If I ever get a cease or desist, cool, I'll just come up with another name. It's fine. That's how I felt. I always felt like that.
I always say some shit about that too. Like if you get sued, you know you're doing good. Like yeah.
Yeah, but again, I'm a creative. So how creative am I if something like that would happen and I feel like, oh man, I'm stuck? How creative am I actually? I'm ready for that challenge. If that happens, cool. Then I'll probably go by my real name at that point, and it'll be fine. That's a good problem to have. If they're like, man, like we're getting this, we're getting that. This guy's making a lot of noise with our IP or whatever, whatever it is. We got to shut this down, or we have something to say about this. Let's see what he's hitting for. I'm gonna come up with a new name for the company, and we're gonna move forward.
Also, I guess did we skip? We're bouncing around.
Oh yeah.
Did we skip?
You wanted to know how
Navy
Dark
thing?
Knight NT started.
Yeah, but did we skip the Navy part already? Was that before
that comes
the street
after.
promotion?
That comes after.
Okay.
So what really happened was, I had been doing the street team stuff for a few years
For Def Jam in Atlantic.
My boss, shout out to Keith Broham, was the area Def Jam promotions coordinator, and so he got hired. I think the job he got hired for was he was some executive for Russell Simmons Music Group. This is after Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin sold Def Jam, I believe, but he still cut a deal for his own label underneath the Def Jam umbrella or whatever. And so Russell Simmons Music Group was created, I believe, and then he got an office up there. So he basically left Virginia and went to New York. So me and my guy, Adrian, A Boogie, we got on the bus to New York. They call it the Chinese bus. I don't want.
I've been on the China bus.
I don't want to be offensive, right? But that's what they call it. We got on that bus and we took the trip to New York. In my mind, I was thinking, I done put in years. My guy's an executive. He knows that we put in the work because we put in the work for him. So this is the opportunity to see if I can make my dream happen. Which my dream, this all started with, I just want to work for a label. I want like really work for a label, have a salary, all that kind of stuff.
What job? Like you're like anything? I don't care. Just get me in the door. Like,
no, it would have been something in marketing or A&R. But I probably would have. I was leaning towards marketing, right? And so we went up to the office. We got our universal badge, visitor badge, whatever. I felt good about all that. I was like, oh man, this is dope. We go up the elevator. We go sit in his office. We congratulate him, all that kind of stuff. It was dope. To see our guy who was just in an apartment in Norfolk, right? And we picking up product from him, and now he's in New York, and he's in that's a real life example. Oh, like you can move up. It's not impossible. Our guy's an executive now. He moved up. Cool.
But even moving up is he moved out.
He moved up and out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wish we could move up here. Like, you know what I mean?
We're gonna get there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we sit in the office, and then some point, I think it was maybe a 45-minute hour conversation. Somewhere in there, I'm like, yo, are there any openings? Is there, I'm looking for, opportunity. I want to move up. Like, and I think Adrian said it too. And it was something to the effect of, man, I wish I could do more. Like, there's nothing open that I could, really give y'all to. I would give it to y'all. Like, y'all both put in work. He wasn't like sunning us or clowning us, or it was nothing like that. I don't think there was a legitimate position open that he could give us. I think if he could, he would have. Right, so it was nothing. I never felt like he tried to play us or nothing. Like we put in all his work, and I felt like the system. You know what I'm saying? There was just not enough opportunity for somebody that wasn't already in New York for other people outside of him to to be like, oh man, like we can give him whatever. I think he got there, and if there was a position, he would have gave it to both of us. But he unfortunately had to say like we don't have anything, or there's nothing I can do. I think was the thing. And so I had to sit with that because I'm pinning my hopes on this whole bus ride up to New York, that this is what they tell you. Like you put in the work and then you're going to be rewarded. And then this is the moment and then nothing happens. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you at this time. And it's like, again, I never put that blame on him because I think he did everything as a boss that he should have. And again, I think if he could have, he would have, but he couldn't. And so regardless of how it happened, there was nothing for me. There was nothing for Adrian. There was nothing for me. So we had to get back on a bus and come back home empty-handed. What do you do in that situation? So on the bus ride home, I'm just sitting there like, I did not do all of this work. At this point, it might have been like 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. I didn't do all this work and, putting out all these flyers, all these posters for all these artists, for the Norvis shows, the amphitheater shows, missing meals in the hot sun, in the cold winter, for this to be over. And so I started like, I need to come up with my own thing so I can start having my own movement and energy and all that kind of stuff. And then Dark Knight was created out of that. It was a sense of trying to take ownership of my own narrative and empower myself. That's really why Dark Knight started. I didn't initially set out to be in charge of anything or create anything. The end goal was to just work for a major label. So.
Like maybe like get Dark Knight signed to a label.
No, what I'm saying is the end goal. That's where I was at
before
mentally.
you even started. Okay.
Yeah. The end goal was what I saw in the 80s and 90s, which was I just wanted to work in the marketing department at a major label. That was it. That is as far as my dreams had prescribed for me. If I can get a salary position for Def Jam, I'm happy. So again, on the ride back, that's like what, 7 hours? That's a long time to be sitting there mad. Not know where do you go after that?
And what year was this? I'm trying to see like where the game was at.
Yeah, I think it was like
point.
02.
Okay, so it was still
02, 03, something
early,
like that. It might have been like 02.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
This is still kind of in the physical world.
Yeah.
Like I think CDs still being sold at this
CDs
point.
were definitely still being sold. You know, the Ja Rules, the 50 Cents, I think all of this was happening at the same time, the Nellies. I think all of that was like happening at the same time. So it was poppy, it was hits, it was groups and collectives coming out, you know, making noise and stuff like that. I mean, it was a good time to be in music, except if you at the very bottom. You know what I'm saying? And in Virginia, right, at this point. So the thing was, I'm again on the bottom rung of it. So like, that's not discounting all the work that Missy and Timberland and Eclipse and Star Trek and, you know, Pharrell and Chad, obviously, and Skills and D'Angelo, all the work these people were putting in. But what I'm saying is, again, trying to make it into the game. If I can't be a part of any of their camps and make a living, and I felt like I'm going to just do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to put in my work. I'm going to pay my dues. I'm going to earn my stripes. And I will be rewarded with an opportunity, like a legit salary opportunity, which is how you're taught. You go up the ladder or whatever. And then there's nothing. What do you do after?
And not only will you be rewarded, I think you'll be prepared for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't put in that work, when the opportunity can come to you, but you can just fuck it up, and you can not be ready for it.
Yeah, being prepared is extremely important. And again, I want to juxtapose that by saying, had I been born in New York and had the same dream, within 6 to 9 months of me interning, I could have made that same request, and some sort of an opportunity would have been presented to me.
So it's like for you, like
Proximity.
a lot of us being in Virginia, in one way, it's cool because it kind of forces us to think outside the box. I think a lot of people out here do things differently than people from other places. That kind of, I feel like a lot of people from other places might follow a certain formula. I see people out here trying different shit, but on the other hand, it slows you down. Like it could take. We don't have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like we're touching on before the pod a little bit. Like what we think will eventually just kind of make our scene pop is the platforms. You know what I'm saying? What platforms do you like out here right now? What do you see kind of? Matter of fact, yeah. What do you think about just the scene as a whole right now?
So I look at everything. I feel like because I move around enough, I'm able to see, if that makes sense to you, the complete board of Virginia. And so I have enough relationships with people in Richmond as well as clearly here that when I look at everything, we're in a much better place than we were 10, 15 years ago. Back in the day, it even feels funny to say that because I don't think I'm that old. I'm 39. I don't even think I'm that old. It was a lot of talented people, but we weren't as collaborative as we are now. I think that's the major difference. I think it was a lot of crews. You saw a lot of people, and I wish some of this would come back. What you saw back in the day was you saw a lot of people that had on, you know, oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to look like a unit. Everybody would have on the same hoodie with the same graphic, and they were repping different crews and cliques and stuff like that. I wish some of that would come back. And I love that, but not the forethought.
We got some hard crews out here right now.
No, I'm not saying they're not hard crews. I'm just saying that if they couldn't think of nothing else, we're going to rap really well and we're going to dress alike. So everybody know we in the same crew. So when you would move, it looked like something like, damn, that's a movement. But to say that, but what they didn't have, I don't think, is the thought to be like, we need to create our own opportunities. I don't think it was enough of that happening. And that's no disrespect to the artists in that generation because I'm part of that generation. But me still being active now, I can see the difference. I call it war and peacetime. I think back then it was a little bit more aggressive. Now to me, the music scene is as peaceful as it's ever been. Even if people are not feeling each other, you kind of have to find out that somebody don't rock with somebody else. Back then, it was clear that this person didn't rock with this person or this crew didn't rock with this crew, and if they saw it, it might be an issue. Now it's like people just kind of might feel a way about somebody else, but that don't stop nobody from being at the same function, you know what I'm saying, or being at the same festival or event or whatever it is. I think that's the difference. Everybody is a lot more, hey, let's work together, or hey, this person is doing an event, or this creative is putting together this platform. Let's go to that. Or what? I think it's a lot more of that.
It feels more unified. Like,
yeah, I love the energy now, and so again, I just try to do my best to be supportive and attend as many events as I have the time and the capacity to attend.
That's where I actually met you at. Well, I don't know if we actually met that night, but that's where I seen you at the first time. Mm-hmm. That's where I really started like fucking with you. Mm-hmm. It was at Ty J was shooting his movie, I think.
Yeah.
At Slow Dive before shutdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you had gave like I touched on.
I gave a speech, right?
You gave a speech. I think I talked about this on Bobby Blaze's telethon like last month too. I told the story, but
I love Bobby.
But yeah,
Blaze.
you gave a speech. Yeah, you gave a speech, and you were talking about like just the scene out here and shit, and it just resonated with me. I guess I could like feel that you were passionate about it, and that's why I was like, who was that guy? Like,
so whenever you see me do that. That is me.
Oh, so you do that a lot. He's out here.
I don't do it a lot. I do, but I do understand the role that I have now, that I occupy. It's one thing to just kind of walk around and like be trying to find your place. I'm not trying to find my place. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly how much work I put in and exactly everything I accomplish. So I don't speak from a space of arrogance. I speak of confidence, but confidence from hard work and paying all my dues. Now that I'm
like a place of experience, like
now that I'm a little older, I feel like that's the second part of this, right? If back in the day, like we were talking about before, if I felt like things could have been better and I didn't have the influence or respect to dictate at all or to help influence that, then if I have it now, then I feel like it's my responsibility to help nudge or encourage, right, as much as I can to keep doing what y'all doing, or we got to strike while the iron's hot, everybody. Like, I'm telling you, we're closer than we think. I'm going to always do that if I have the opportunity and the ears to listen to it. Because if I don't do that, I'm no better than anybody who came before me. That's just how I feel about that.
It really blew my mind when I seen what's happening in Austin, Texas right now with the comedy scene. Like, we touched on that too.
Yes.
There's literally hella comedians moving to Austin to pursue comedy.
Yeah.
So but this is like all within like a year or two.
Yeah.
Like it just really started popping.
I think it really started during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
a lot of people were like moving from like Cali and either moving to Vegas or moving to Austin. I saw the migration.
Yeah, there's a few big clubs out there. Kill Tony's out there. Like
I think it was like taxes was part of it. And
I mean, there's a lot of reasons that people are moving to Texas. Period. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about just now specifically comedians that are moving there to pursue comedy. And it just showed me like how fast it can happen. We can build an ecosystem here, and in a year or two, it can be just like that. People are moving out to Virginia to pursue creative shit.
Yeah,
and even what's her name was telling us, Karina. Karina was telling us she has a friend that literally just moved from Brooklyn to Virginia to pursue art. I think she paints or she does something, but like she moved from New York to Virginia to pursue art. That's like, have you ever heard anybody say that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
No, but that's good to hear. That means we're headed in the right direction. I'm always going to be... See, that's one of my things, too. I'm going to always be that for why do we have to move? Because if you go to Atlanta or LA, you never... Not too much. I mean, people move and stuff like that, but you don't really hear too many people from Atlanta say, I need to move from Atlanta so I can make it as an artist. They're so proud to be from there. Even if they don't ever make it, they would still never move. And I don't want to feel like I need to move or any of you guys need to move to make it, right? Do some people need to move because it just makes sense for them? Maybe their market is just bigger somewhere else. That's one thing. But if you're saying I'm talented enough to make it and we have social media and we have all of these things and these tools in our areas on the come up, I feel like we should stay, right, to really build this thing up. I believe in that. I want everybody to be proud enough to say, why would I move from Virginia? Like people say, why would I move from Atlanta? Because I think it's disrespectful that we would even have to consider moving.
Bro, we have a beach.
We have a beach.
We have a fuck. That's all you need to know. We have a beach.
We have a beach.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is a tourist hub.
Yeah, like,
people come from New York. They come here to vacation. See, no, and let me say this.
I know a girl from North Carolina. Like, her and her friends go to Virginia Beach for, like, beach week or some shit. Like, people are going to, like, where? Like, Florida and fucking... Yeah. But yeah, they come into the beach, man.
Listen.
And I apologize for my throat. I know my voice sounds crazy right now. I woke up this morning feeling a little crazy.
You're fine. So, from a music, arts, whatever kind of space you want to think about this, the breakdown of Virginia is, and this is the pitch, right? Because I'm connected to like a bunch of A&Rs at different major labels. So whenever this conversation comes up, I tell them this is why Virginia should still be considered an A market as far as music, right? Specifically. Because one, military town, right? Our area has a base from every branch in the military. That's one. Two, we have multiple major colleges and universities here. So if you're talking about William and Mary, if you're talking about ODU, you're talking about Hampton University, you're talking about Norfolk State, we got them all. Then you have VCU, V-State,
CNU. That's right there. Yeah.
All of that, right? Virginia Union. Then third, tourist destination, like you said, Virginia Beach. So we have everybody who comes here for the surf, the sand, the weather from New York and all these places. So we have people constantly moving in and out of here for multiple different reasons, plethora of different reasons. And so we're a transitional space. So if you come here, you're stationed in the military, or you come here for college specifically, you might be here for 2 to 4 to 6 years, something like that. Which means any artist locally that you become a fan of, when you leave, you're very likely to take their music with you, which means organically the music would spread. Mm-hmm. So if you have the intersection of military, college culture, and tourist culture all merging into Virginia, why would we be moving anywhere? The potential for people to create fan bases, create their own ecosystem like we talked about, where you can release a single music video, roll out your project, do tour dates, activations, all that kind of stuff, and grow your fan base from here outwardly is here. Our lack of infrastructure, yes, is a thing, but it's not enough for anybody to feel like they should move. Until that infrastructure gets more solidified and robust, there's still more than enough opportunity if you're willing to put in the work to build a substantive fan base to make a living here and then expand. Thank you. That was my TED Talk.
I'm just looking at, even back at Austin, like the way they do it. I try to take tips from it. Like, okay, so they have a podcast out there, Kill Tony. Mm-hmm. That's big as shit. Mm-hmm. People watching on YouTube. Hella comedians have literally gone up there. People do 1 minute sets in the interviews. Yeah. And comedians have literally made whole careers. They start touring, start getting booked just off doing well on there, and just people seeing them online. So they do that. Then I think what we need really first out here is a venue space or a club that throws shows like multiple times a week, or at least once a week. Okay. Like the way they do it with the comedy out there is they have every week, like right now at Joe Rogan's Club, the Mothership, they're booking big acts every week. So it's like you never know who's gonna be in there. Every week there's multiple shows of like fire ass shows. Yeah. And then also they say it's key that you need to have 2 nights a week is open mic nights. They said that's key. You need that brings people into. Yes. So right here we need a venue that every single week is somebody hard in there going crazy. Then with that, hopefully that venue owner has connections. So then maybe once a month or so they sprinkle in some big acts artists for come from out of town. Yeah. Then it's like that builds the credibility and the coolness of that spot even more. But it's like every fucking week shit is happening. It's like there should be not 1 week where nothing's happening. Right now the DJs are doing it good. Like tonight, what's the soft opening of that's going on tonight? It's the people that had Thank You Bar. They're doing a soft opening of their new spot. I forgot what it's called though. You said Thank You Bar. Thank You Gallery, right? Thank You Bar.
I think it's Thank You Gallery, right?
It might be
the record store, right?
No, it was like a little bar type shit, like a club. Hold on, Swing sent it to me. It's called Only You. Bar and Lounge, soft opening tonight, 7 p.m. to 12 a.m.
And it's the people that own Thank You Bar?
From the creators of Thank You. Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I need to stop by there because I love what they was doing.
Yeah, but my point is like that's in a good space to me. I see like the little bars and shit that hold like 200 people, and now it's like DJ spinning there on like on the weekends, and it's like a lot of people that go there, and it's like just positive energy.
Yes,
we have that part.
Yes.
Now we need like we're talking about even I think before the show too. We have to get people accustomed to live music out here and live performances.
Yes.
And instead of just going out to the bar, like right now that's how we graduated high school and just being a whatever somebody who doesn't really create. You're just going to the bar. You're getting a drink. You might get some food. You might dance or like whatever, and then you might go home. But then it's like maybe people aren't aware. It's like I think they can learn to want to experience more live shit. If we put it in their face, if we showcase it.
So let me say this. So for one, this is to the city of Norfolk. I think we were on our way. A bunch of those Norfolk venues got shut down. You probably were in.
Been a slow dive. Thank you. Yeah, Disc Freaks were going crazy.
Yes, Slow Dive got shut down. Not shut down. They basically like ran out the clock on Slow Dive. Like I know the owners. Shout out to Carrie Ann and Charlie. Right, they owned Slow Dive, and so if you go back far enough, you know that before they had Slow Dive, they operated Work Release.
I've heard about that.
Work Release was to me. I've been to basically every spot in Virginia that was worth whatever. Work Release to me was the best venue that was ever created in Virginia.
What made it so great?
This was what makes Slow Dive dope. They basically replicated everything that they were doing in Work Release and Slow Dive. It was basically the same formula, right? They had, nights where it was art stuff going on in there, like art gallery stuff. They had nights where it was like listening events. They had open mics in there. They had, multiple DJs in the same night, like house music events. They had all that stuff. Like it'd be 4 or 5 dope events happening in that venue in the same week. And so listen, I may not go to 2 of the events, but I might catch 2 or 3 of them depending on how much time I had. But whenever I went, there was a clashing of scenes, right? It wasn't just a rock scene. It wasn't just whatever pop scene or hardcore rap or whatever or R&B scene. They were all coming together. So it'd be like painters and people who do murals and people who do spoken word and people who rap and people who attended college all in the venue at the same time. And I think they did their best to replicate that in Slow Dive. And I think largely they were successful. Different venue, different layout. But I think largely they replicated that. And so I'm going to always give credit to them and give them respect for what it is they did. I also love what DJ B and Keisha are doing with Freshtopia, right? And then Thank You Bar. We had a bunch of spots, and then when you have, and I'm not going to list all of the venues, right? But when you have people who don't understand that these venues are creating opportunities and even revenue for these DJs and these artists and these promoters and these hosts to do things, and you giving a spotlight to our artists, our arts and music scene, and then because you don't understand and you think that because these places exist, violence will be beget because of that, and you don't have a conversation with us who can correct your narrative or whatever it is you're thinking. You shut all the places down. Now everybody has to go to Virginia Beach or go to Portsmouth or whatever. When I think we're doing so well. When some of the things that you thought were happening are still happening, right? So our music scene, that space got scapegoated with this is why violence is high in Norfolk or Hampton Roads or whatever, because some of these clubs are da-da-da-da. That may have been attributed to maybe some of them, but most of them, that wasn't the case. Nobody wants to bring violence or negative energy to their business because their business will get shut down. So everybody should be on the same page with that. But if you don't want to have the conversation with creatives and owners and the people who were operating these venues, and you just shut them down in quick succession like we saw last year, now you have basically a mass migration where everybody who was doing stuff in Norfolk is now going to Virginia Beach or Portsmouth or other places to try to get these ideas off, because the platforms are still needed, as you're saying. But now it's like this big hole in Norfolk where all of these creatives, some of the same people that were tapped to do programming for something in the water, were creating amazing experiences in Norfolk and just didn't feel like they were at home anymore in Norfolk because people who were in position in Norfolk were not supporting us the way that they should have.
What's the state of things now? I know because I know everybody
up in the air.
It's still up in the air.
And I'm saying it, and I'm saying the tone. This is not at y'all, right? I'm saying it with the tone that I'm saying it and the way I'm saying it because I float between all the worlds. I float in the music and the art scene, but I'm also in this environmental scene, but I'm also in a political scene.
I seen y'all had me weak with the what's the program you were called, but the acronym was Reggie. I was like, y'all should have picked something different.
Yeah. That's not our acronym, right? But RGGI stands for the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. So super quickly, what that is we're trying to keep Virginia in Reggie. Reggie is about 11 states that all signed on to say that basically, for companies that pollute our environment, we're going to tax them for every time that they do it. And
pollute how, with like carbon emissions?
All that kind of stuff. And so the money that they're being taxed with gets accrued in this space, right? This place. And then that money, this pocket of money will filter back down to Hampton Roads and other areas for like flood resilience and stuff. So basically taking companies that are doing bad in reference to the environment to use some of that money that they're being taxed with to do good by us for things that are actually happening to us, like flooding, right? So we were over like 500 million in taxable money that was getting flooded, getting trickled down into this thing called community preparedness funds. So, communities have these and they use this money to try to figure out programming, try to figure out how to make the sewage system better, right? So when it floods, it doesn't flood as much, that kind of stuff. And so we're trying to keep, we're getting petitions signed and all that to keep us in Reggie. Our Governor Youngkin, I almost say his name and I don't care.
Is that a new governor?
Yeah.
What's the other one's name before him?
Northam,
yeah. He had some weird shit. Didn't he have like a scandal?
He had a scandal.
He had some weird shit going on.
It was unfortunate. But he also, I think...
Oh, no, he had the blackface thing, right?
He had the blackface thing. Wasn't a fan. Would not recommend. All of that kind of stuff. But I do think... I met the guy a couple of times. And I think, I just based him off of what he was doing now.
Yeah.
And I think he was... because he's a doctor. Like, so it's like, do no harm. I think he was doing a lot of good. I think his administration was at least attempting to do good. And I saw that from them in their actions and stuff like that. This new governor we got, Youngkin, is really going out of his way to like roll back environmental protections and a bunch of other stuff. And so a lot of my job, my other job, right, and working for CCAN, which is an environmental nonprofit, is I come up against him and his administration in a lot of ways. I'm trying to battle a pipeline that this company is trying to put in Suffolk and Chesapeake.
For oil?
It's a methane gas pipeline. It's called Virginia Reliability Project. We're calling it Virginia Ripoff Project, but they're trying. It's like an existing pipeline, right? That they have. It's like 49 miles of existing pipeline. They want to go in the ground, dig it up, and replace it with a pipeline that will pump 4 times more the methane gas. Virginia is already supposed to be getting out of new fossil fuels by like 2030, 2040, something like that. But if they allow this to happen...
What are they using the methane gas for, though?
They're going to sell it. Like it's all about increasing the bottom line at the end of the day. And so, this thing... Listen, this is what I'm telling you. So me and this No Virginia Reliability Project Coalition, we're like canvassing. We're knocking on doors of residents that live in the Hill Point area of Suffolk just to inform them about this proposed pipeline. Like, they don't have all their permits is what I'm telling you. So they want this expansion project to happen, but they don't have all their permits. But they're already like marking the ground with yellow flags. Like, sometimes you see that stuff. Yeah. Yellow pylons, all that kind of stuff to mark where they want to tear up the ground before they even have all their permits. But they're doing it in neighborhoods, like I said, in Hill Point, where they hadn't even informed all the residents that this project is even proposed to happen.
Do they have to inform them?
Yes. You're supposed to do a certain level of outreach. So this is what I'm saying. If they were going to put a methane gas pipeline in front of your house and they were in the process of getting permits and they started marking up your yard, putting flags in it like, this is what we're going to tear up. Like, we're trying to do this. We still working on permits, but we're marking it so we know what we need to do.
I think if it's going through a yard, yeah. But I think technically 6 feet from the street is technically the city's. I want to say something
like that. This is what I'm saying. In Suffolk, where they're doing it, They're doing it they're proposed to do this 300 feet from Hill Point Elementary, an elementary school. It's in the middle of a neighborhood and right next to,
Yeah, I get it. I guess I'm not really I don't really understand too much I would like to know what they're doing with the methane.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do they say is the benefits of it? Do they have benefits?
Well, this is what I'm saying. So the pipeline exists already.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're going to
put in update it, but it's going to be pumping more.
They're saying they want to update the pipeline. What they really are going to do is they want to put in the pipeline that's bigger
to pump more. Yeah.
So they can pump 4 times more. So the pipeline will be double the size that they want to put in, so it can pump 4 times the methane gas that they're pumping now.
Yeah.
All it is about making more money. I'm going to keep saying that, right?
Yeah.
If it's methane gas,
like everything.
Listen,
about that.
It's methane gas, so it's combustible.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the hell methane gas is for real.
You understand the word methane and you understand the word gas.
Yeah.
Why is the existing pipeline 300 feet from an elementary school? Just answer me that.
I mean, it's underground though, right?
It's a methane gas pipeline.
Do
you understand what I'm saying?
What is methane gas used for? Can you look that up?
That's like natural gas, ain't it?
Right, it's fracked.
Oh wait, is that what they use in houses, like for gas? When you have a gas powered stove or something?
Hey, everybody, it's methane gas. If you put a flame next to it, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's probably blow up.
No, it's not probably. It's gonna blow up. So why is anything that could potentially blow up 300 feet from an elementary school?
That's a fact, but I mean, I'm sure there's probably gas appliances in the elementary school, so it's even closer.
Bro, are you making excuses?
I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to understand why it's there.
Mm-hmm.
We have a gas, I think, stove. I think it's more energy efficient, right?
Does solar not exist now?
It's not really that good though.
Why is solar not good? Because I know
like
people who have solar and they don't pay anything in
Really?
electricity anymore.
From what I've seen,
you can do it to where it cancels out. I'm not saying that would be the case for everybody. There are people I know who have solar where it just reduces the amount of money I have to pay. There are people who have enough solar panels on their thing where they don't pay anything like money. You know what I'm saying?
Like for in their house, just like electricity wise.
Because it's free energy, right? You have to pay for the installation of the thing, but like what I'm saying is,
no, I cut you off. So you were about to speak to the city of Norfolk, and I was going to ask you how you even got into it, because I see pictures on your Instagram, you like lobbying for stuff, and how you got into the activism kind of side.
That's a good question. So what really happened was, funny enough, doing a promotion. Okay.
Do you want to speak to the city of Norfolk? You were about to say something. You were like, I'm just not aimed at y'all, but this is, you were about to say something.
All I'm saying, the main point I want to make is, when you guys talking to elected officials and people in position on any level in the city of Norfolk, when you guys make decisions, please be considerate and want to have the conversation with creatives who are trying to make the area better. Most people who are creatives, whether they're DJs, promoters, hosts, whatever, they don't want negativity or violence or any of that stuff either. Excuse me. Most of the events happening or that were happening in Norfolk didn't have any kind of negative connotation or energy around them anyway. They were providing jobs. They were providing places, safe places for people to party, have a good time, for DJs to express themselves, for artists to express themselves. And again, because 1 or 2 venues may have been doing it the wrong way, you lump the whole scene and start on a rampage of shutting down all the venues. So where it may have been maybe 1 or 2 venues, you took away like 6 or 7, right? And now there is a gap in our entertainment scene as far as venues that understand us and gave us plenty of nights and space and opportunity for us to create, for us to express ourselves, for us to get our art out, all that kind of stuff. And so you're actually making it harder for the next big DJ, the next big producer, the next big artist to, plant their flag and be big and blow out of here. We need, as you know, we need all the platforms and spaces and venues that we can possibly get. We are not in a space where we can have anything legitimate taken away. So while we're doing all this good work, they're almost going out of their way to take away stuff that we're trying to do. And only because they don't understand what it is we're trying to do. You have to be willing to have the conversation with us. And we can say, yeah, there's a better way to do this, or no, we're going to stand firm on this, and this is what we're trying to do. do you understand where we're coming from? But you got to want to have that conversation. You can't just go in your room and make decisions and say, we're going to go on a rampage and we're going to shut down 5 venues in a year.
And I've said it before up here on the show, but Thank You Bar and Slow Dive were like the only clubs, one of the only clubs I've been to out here where there's no security. Like, I mean, there's a security guard out there, but you're not getting patted down.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a different thing. I never seen.
That is like creating the environment.
It's really
right?
like, it's really, it's almost like corny to say, but it's really like all positive energy in there.
All positive energy.
I've been to Slow Dive. I've been to Thank You probably like maybe 2-3 times, but I've been to Slow Dive probably a good like 4 or 5 times, and not once
Never
did I
had
ever
an
see
incident
anything weird, anything like that was just like, oh, something's about to happen. Like, bro, really all love in these places. So.
And that's
I'm not aware of what the other
mad.
places were. You said it was like 6 spots. I really only know of those.
I don't remember the exact number, right? But it's between like 5 and 10 spots. Right?
I can speak from my experience at those 2 spots.
The
like,
back, Slow Dive, Thank You Bar.
Thank You Bar, yeah.
And there were a bunch of spots that shut down. Legacy got in that, and Culture and all of that stuff. And I'm not going to say everybody was doing it right. The point I'm making is when you lump everybody in together and it feels like a campaign against our culture. And then you're going in this back room, y'all are making decisions without us without even having a conversation with us.
It was crazy how deep everybody was at the was it the city council?
Listen, we was on it. Like,
bro, I was there.
On it.
We talked about
proud.
it like
that's what I'm saying.
Bro, I walked in there because when I first got there, I'm texting, bro. I forgot who I'm texting now. Who I was about to meet there, and I was about to ask him like, yo, where do I go? Where's everybody at? But right when I hit the stairs, my question was answered. Everybody's in the fucking lobby. The whole lobby is like filled because the actual courtroom is filled already.
Yeah.
So it's just like at least 100 people in the damn lobby.
Yeah.
Watching it on the TV. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I was proud. I was proud that day, regardless.
And I'm from the news. We from across the water, so we really came like, I don't know.
Guess where I'm from? Guess where I'm from?
Newport News? Well, you didn't actually tell me. You told me you were military.
Where you think I'm from?
New York?
No.
Virginia?
I'm from Virginia. I mean, I rep Virginia. Yeah, I'm definitely from
I feel like I just asked you if you were born and raised here. You said nah. You said you weren't born here.
Right, but I'm from Hampton.
Hampton, Virginia. Don't even get me started on our side of the water because we literally have nothing. Y'all have some shit. Shit happens
Who's
out there.
y'all? I'm from Hampton. I'm y'all. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I'm here to say
you just said where you live right now, though.
I live in Chesapeake. But that don't mean nothing. Listen, I love Chesapeake. Like, yeah. I've lived there since 2005.
Well, then you know we don't have shit on this side.
I'm literally from Hampton. No. Hold on. Before I'm gonna let you make your point. I'm from Hampton. I want to say this so this is clear. I'm from Hampton. I love being from Hampton. I'm from Hampton. Right? I gotta say that because as somebody who I have a gold plaque, right, for a Jeremiah album from when I worked for Def Jam. I've been on major tours. Some of my homies are some of the biggest artists in the world. I already said Wiz and 2 Chainz and all these people, right? So it's important for me to say all that together, or it can be lost in the conversation, right? I work with some of the biggest artists on the planet. D-Ray Davis, one of the biggest comedians on the planet, is my homie.
I see you post Jay Farrell a lot.
Jay Farrell is my homie. Jay Farrell's from Virginia. He's from Chesapeake.
I didn't even know that till
he's from
I seen you
Chesapeake.
posted him. Yeah.
No Malice from the Clips is my brother. I helped No Malice roll out his last album. That's my brother for life. You understand what I'm saying?
When did he drop his last album?
Let the Dead Bury the Dead was what, 3 or 4 years ago?
Really?
It wasn't that long
I missed
ago.
that. I definitely didn't see that. All right. Because I
need to check that out.
Don't they say he's like a pastor now or something?
He is very close to his faith. He believes in God and he is not ashamed of it. That being said, the Clips are back. You know what I'm saying? As far as these performances, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much, but they performed as the Clips during Something in the Water, right? I think everybody who was in attendance at Elevation 27, I think everybody felt good about that. I'm really sick I missed that performance. But, you know, again, as somebody who, you know, that's my brother, like, I'm just so happy for him. You know what I'm saying? Because, and let me be clear on that, like, because he may not say, I'm sure he'll say that at some point. Just because, you know, he is back doing stuff, you know, as part of the Clips with his brother Push, respect to Push, doesn't mean that he is backslid or anything like that, right? I think you can be proud of your catalog and also still be a man of God. You know what I'm saying? I think my brother is one of the best lyricists on the planet and has a really close relationship with God, and I think both can be true, right? I think we saw similar things with DMX, right? He said all of this stuff and was really lyrical and had a really good stage presence, but also had prayers right on his albums and also performs these prayers on stage when he was doing tours and stuff. And so I think you're just seeing the evolution of somebody who is in that space. And so I think he can rap his old classics and still feel like, listen, you know, I'm in this space where I will bar you down. Like, I will lyrically bar you underneath the table.
And then pray for you.
And then pray for you to be a better human being.
Yeah.
I'm always going to feel that way about him. So, like, just don't sleep on my brother, dog. Like, no malice. Like, that's my brother. Like,
some artists from out here, you know Rick Rogers?
yes.
He to me, he has a real interesting, he's on a journey. He had like a transformation. He's on a, he's like damn near a Christian artist now. Like, he's on this whole like God journey. And it's crazy because I've
been watching because he's been doing, if I remember, he's been doing stuff with his kid too, right?
With his kids, with his wife, they're making music. He's been working with some like kind of some other like Christian artists. But it's just interesting to me seeing his journey because I knew him for a few years where he was just making like regular, like not regular music, but like trap music or rapping about, you know, certain things.
Yeah.
And he's really going through a real life journey. Like, I had a podcast with him. I don't know if you're interested, you should watch it. He was like really going into a lot of cool shit, and I was inspired by that.
Yeah, man.
I'm not even Christian, but it's just like that's just really inspiring.
No, I mean, I think that's part of it. I think whatever you tap into as an artist, you should be able to express it. My thing is, whatever it is, I don't want to hear the 11th or the 215th version of that thing, right? If you're Gucci Mane, like, I'm with it because whatever your style is, you doing the best version of that. I don't want to hear the 300th impression of Gucci Mane. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Like, maybe the second and the third and maybe even the fourth. But after that, like, something's getting diluted as far as I'm concerned. So I just think
game needs to change. Like,
individuality should be at an all-time high, and I'm just about everybody who's tapping into their truth and leaning into it. That's all.
Hell yeah. Bro, that might be a fire spot to leave him at. I know we touched on a few things. I don't know if you want to touch on anything else. I know there's probably a lot of other shit we can go into. We like, you know.
It's the 20th anniversary for Dark Knight ENT. I got to say that. It's just 20 years of being in the game, of trying to be a stand-up individual. Like I said, having gone on tours, having sat in some of these label offices, talked to executives and A&Rs and understand what they're looking for in artists, and always waving a flag for Virginia, whether I was in-state, out-of-state. And just now wanting to be in the space of wanting to encourage the next generation as much as humanly possible. So when I see people like you, when I see people like Gabe and Raisa and Nate and artists like Tyler and Who and Young Shan and there's so many dope artists like Tony C, and I'm trying to think, Bobby Blaze, my brother, like, that's my guy.
I just talked to Tony on the phone for like an hour the other night.
Tony's dope. I like Tony. Scoozy.
Oh yeah.
My brother High Def Raja. So it's so many.
I was gonna bring that up too, but you had it on your page. I really forgot you had it up there when he was talking about how he was running around with you and he was like learning the business and shit. That was interesting to me too, because a lot of times, like, you doing shit, but you picking up on skills that you can apply to other things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool to me. Like,
The skills are transferable, right? Especially now. We're in a do it yourself culture and just a space. Like, our whole society is. This is not the space of an A&R's gonna find me and save my life, dog. We're not in that space. Before you get to the label, they want a fully fleshed out brand and movement.
You need a TikTok hit. You need a dance.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's no.
Even as that, bro. I'm telling you, the game is about to change, bro.
I'm gonna tell you, it's however you get it, but I'm gonna even simplify it more than that. Once you have just a fan base, a legitimate, solidified fan base.
I mean, you can just have a single. They people are getting single deals out here right now.
Right, but you don't. But you don't necessarily want that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying? That's like a quick bag.
Because what I'm saying is you can have like a legitimate long-term deal, and if you get one single, sometimes you get a single that goes viral or whatever, and it happens so fast, you don't know what actually happened to create the viral moment in the first place, which means when you get to the second single, you don't know how to replicate it. That's how one-hit wonders get created.
That's why I really respect and am grateful for the time it is taking for us to really like go up, because I just feel like I'm just getting better, and it's like not even just my skills getting better. I feel like mentally I'm getting, the more time that goes on, I'm more and more prepared for, like, if it does blow up tonight, I know that tomorrow I'm just gonna go back to work. I've already built that habit.
Listen.
It's not like yeah, if you're not prepared, it goes back to what you said. It's a mystery. Damn, how did I do that? You can't even do it again. You didn't even do it. It was really random.
This is the best way that it needs to happen, because everybody is now being forced to figure out how these other parts happen. Not just I'm in the studio with my boys recording my song. I'm just gonna release a song, release a music video, release a song, release a music video, drop the project. Everybody ain't rocking
picture in
with
the fly
it.
outfit.
Everybody say, nobody supports us or whatever. Hold on, let me say this. Let me clear it out. ISO on me. Didn't know what Joe Budden and them say? ISO on me. Okay, listen. Support is for charities. Does everybody in the room understand what I'm saying right now? Support is for charities. As soon as you decide that I have a dream, I want to be in music, film, entertainment, whatever the lane is, once you start chasing your dream, it is nobody's responsibility to support your dream but you. Nobody is obligated, even family or friends. This is where everybody gets it twisted. People start getting frustrated and aggravated and irritated because you're expecting something of somebody because they're close to you. You're expecting that they're going to buy your single or even watch the music video or download the whatever or view to this or to buy to that. They're not obligated. It's your dream. It is your burden, your responsibility, you and your team, to make a fan out of everybody, even if it's friends or family. So it's almost like you wake up and just assume you have 0 fans and earn everybody, whether it's your father, your mother, your sister, your friend down the street, the friend that you know for 20 years, the person you just met. You got to treat them all as, I need to earn them as a fan, and then figure out how to maintain that relationship so that they always engage with me. So when it is a time to drop a single, drop a project, that they're locked in and I've engaged with them enough, they believe in what I'm doing enough that they want to actually view it, download it, buy it, purchase it, whatever. But you got to pitch them. You can't be like, oh, because I dropped a project, you're supposed to support it. You're supposed to listen to it. What did you do to intrigue them to make them want to listen to it? If you didn't do enough or you didn't do a good job in general, they don't have to listen to nothing. That's a form of entitlement. So
I've also learned to love like the people in my family and my friends that aren't creative. I've learned to love that they don't really care about what I do like that. I like that now.
Yeah.
It used to piss me off, like, guys, like, why aren't you sharing my shit or whatever? But it's like, bro, we're trying to reach millions of people. So what is really like your 4 or 5 friends going to do for you in the long run? It might motivate you a little bit. That's cool. But I found it pushes me. Like, I really be talking to my mom, like, Mom, like, you don't understand. Like, I'm crazy with this shit. Like, I'm really like, we really going crazy. She's like, yeah, like, whatever. Like, let me know when you're making money, like, type shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, shut up. You're like, why you keep saying this? The other day I was telling her about some shit. She's like, you keep saying the same shit, just different ways. She was like, I don't care for it. Like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you, Mom. Like,
your parents are only gonna really care.
But then also, like, with the friends, it's like, because my mind is so consumed with this shit that it's a break for me when I go hang out with my non-creative friends. Yeah, I might still tell them about what I'm doing a little bit, but it's like a break. I'm talking about just life shit. Like, we don't, you know what I'm saying? So I enjoy that now too. Like,
yeah, like I said, I think your family is only really gonna understand and respect it when you start being able to pay bills off of this.
Yep.
Like, and bills that matter to them. Like, when you're able to be like, I just put a down payment on a house. Then they're gonna be like, how'd you do that? That thing I was doing that you weren't supporting, I paid for it with that money. Then they're gonna be impressed.
Yeah, and you gotta respect that.
And you got, it's not even that you have to respect it, but you gotta understand it. It's just understand. You gotta respect it. Just understand that your parents want different than you think. You think if you put a couple dollars in your pocket, man, like, I did it. Your parents care that, hey, I just paid this deductible for my health care or whatever. That's going to impress them. I got insurance for my house and my entire family. Like, responsible shit is going to make your parents like jump for joy. Because like, oh, he's got money coming in off of this thing that he's playing around with, and like, I can understand where that money's going. Like, he's being responsible with the money. That's all they really care about. Are you taking care of yourself as a human being? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I sometimes I think and I think you made a good point. Like, because sometimes it can go the other way, right? Like, sometimes you will get the support from your friends and family where you have this 100, 200 cap of people who support everything you do because of your friends and family. But if they don't see enough trajectory and it going up, then it's almost like you draining them. Like how many projects can they support of you and they don't see the thing getting bigger? So you got to reward that faith that people have in you too, right? And so it definitely has to be a thing of shut that off completely. Don't have any sense of entitlement. Understand you're going to have to work and work and work for every fan, whether it's somebody that is physically like here in Virginia or especially people that are on social media, because nobody has to follow you or be a fan or whatever. And understanding the process of having a casual fan and converting them into an actual fan who is willing to not only listen and download, but pay for a ticket, pay for an album, pay for merch, is the whole thing of figuring out your ecosystem like we were talking about earlier. Once you understand that part of converting a casual fan to an actual paying customer fan, then we've broken the key to the reason why people hit that ceiling that you were talking about earlier. And the key is, the secret is, we have the potential to do that here. So having more of an infrastructure will make it easier, but individuals can figure we can figure that out now. Like understanding that everybody here is a potential fan of mine. If I can figure out out of all those people, who my core target demo is, and focus on how to make them fans, and then slowly expand the circle from there. Once you figure that part out and you enjoy the process of increasing that circle, everything else becomes easier. But you got to enjoy wanting to go through the process, because other than that, you're going to be completely miserable the whole time. So when you see artists around you that are frustrated, like, why they not rocking with my stuff? Normally because they're either not working hard enough, which we talked about earlier, or they're not working smart enough. Sometimes it's a combination of the two. But at the end of the day, nobody is obligated to support you. So if you even have that in your mentality and you think, what we're missing in Virginia is Virginians need to support Virginians, it's not even that. What it really is as an artist, as an individual, anywhere in the United States, do you understand how to create a fan and then maintain that relationship with a fan through the entire rollout process and beyond? If you can figure that part out, then you understand business as well as the music creative part, and you'll win.
That has to be the fire spot to leave him at.
Let's go.
I love it. I appreciate you for coming through, bro.
Absolutely. Anytime. I think we should do this again.
Oh yeah, I like doing update pods. There's people we've done. I think Bobby Blaze has been up here 5 times, so we do update.
Wait,
pods.
Bobby's been here 5 times.
Yeah.
What? You gotta let me come out here. I gotta come in here at least one more time, man.
We definitely.
Shout out to Bobby Blaze. Boot up.
He was going crazy. He had
him.
like 4 shows out, some in the water too.
I love Bobby Blaze. Like he's such a genuine soul, and I just love everything about his energy and his persistence and consistency and being here.
Bro, I can see that boy being a damn mayor one day.
Listen, man.
I'm not even playing with you.
He's
not even in politics for him right now.
He's gonna be one of those. Bobby's gonna be one of the ones that break through. That's my vote. Him and Gabe, I think, and Tyler, and who is certain ones. I feel like they're gonna go.
Come on, I love it.
Yeah,
we appreciate you guys for tuning in. All bros links will be in the description. Check out Dark Knight ENT. He's doing consultations, different marketing and promotion stuff. Tap in.
If you want to win, like just get with me.
Oh yeah! Shout out to our sponsor for this episode, Zooskies. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. See you soon. Peace.